Hello, it's Josie and you're listening to the Yoga Local podcast, or maybe you're watching. Hello, this is our studio here in Wellingborough, and today I'm going to ask you to embrace your weird as we go a little bit deeper into some of the teachings of yoga that will really help to serve you. If you're interested in practice as a way of transforming your life and moving you towards your bigger, deeper goals. Okay, so my teacher always said, you need to embrace your weird, because as you go deeper into yoga, it just gets weirder. And I really love that because, we do have to embrace, it's only weird because we don't know. We don't know anything about it. It feels weird, it feels strange, it feels odd to try on. So I'm going to encourage you to be open-minded and allow yourself to find whatever inspiration you can at this point from these teachings, which do kind of encourage us to be brave and start to think about life and who we are in a different way. So we've been dealing with the kleshas as part of our theme of making friends. The kleshas being the obstacles that get in the way of us really being connected and operating from our true sense of self, our soul-directed sense of self, rather than the lower mind and the ego and all its trappings of desires, wants, and needs. Today, I wanted to take that conversation one step further and talk about Advaita. Now, Advaita translates to non-dualism. Non-dualism can be described as this wholeness of being, which is beyond what we currently know in terms of our existence as mind, as time, as matter, as energy. Non-dualism is actually the ultimate goal of yoga. And when I say yoga, I mean a committed daily sadhana, a daily practice that is moving you and transforming and evolving you into your greatest sense of self, and to achieve that state of union, which yoga means. Yoga is union. I'm sure some of you know this already, but for some of you, this will be completely new. Okay. So, again, buckle up and open up, and let's just see how these teachings start to land for you. Because if you've never come across these teachings, if you've never come across non-dualism and dualism, and you just thought, it was all about just posturing on the mat, that is normal and it's not your fault. Many teachers probably don't know what Advaita is, or would struggle to explain it. So let yourself off the hook. But the essence of these teachings was fully explained in the spiritual texts, Advaita Vedanta, by Adi Shankara, who's one of the great master sages. And then it was later elaborated on in the Upanishads. So it's an important part of a yogi's education, because that's the destination that we're all supposed to be headed for. And it's important that we should all know this. I will say it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes will, it takes a little bit of tenacity, it takes a bit of curiosity to start to fully get into some of these teachings and embody them. But they're not beyond us, and they're not beyond any of us. I've had experiences in the past where that kind of part of the practice was kind of almost locked in a box somewhere, as not necessarily and intentionally in a maligned kind of way, but it just wasn't available. Just like some of the postures weren't available to me right at the beginning. Those kind of teachings weren't available to me. They weren't taught, and a lot of that I feel is down to this kind of miscommunication or misunderstanding, should I say, that non-dualism is something unobtainable for the average Joe. It's not, these teachings are not beyond us. We can all do them. Yes, they will take some time and patience and energy to pursue. But if we're calling ourselves yogi, if we say this is what we are looking to achieve, then these are the teachings, these are the practices, and let's start to at least try them on for size. Let's at least see how they might pan out in our world. So Advaita teachings are designed to lead us, or lead you, to this state of highest awareness. So we're shifting from our kind of condensed sense of who we are, the form, the matter, the energy, and we're transcending into non-dual. So what's beyond the mind, what's beyond the body, consciousness itself, higher awareness itself. And kind of coming to that point where we're at that precipice of seeing ourselves as individual, but also seeing us deeply connected to something whole or absolute. Yogis call it source. So again, remember, nothing is beyond your scope. We can all work towards that state. And there's many benefits to that, which will also be explained. But before we go any deeper, just again to clarify the difference between dual and non-dual. So dualism involves recognizing the pairs of opposites in our world. So the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the sorrow and the joy, the success and the failure. Our traditional yoga path is honoring both the dual and the non-dual parts of who we are. And it starts to work to help us balance out these two forces, recognize them, bring them together, hatha, sun and moon, coming together, striking together, opposite forces that don't ordinarily come together, to create fire, which is the final path and the culmination of our moon-sun practice. Non-dualism, on the other hand, is solely kind of concerned with that part of who we are that is beyond form. So it's transcended all those opposites. And it's guiding us towards that realization that everything is interconnected, nothing is separate. We're all part of one kind of cosmic soup. And when we can start to come from that understanding, then our perspective on everything will change. It will transform the way that we live and how we interact, and it will affect every single area of our life. It's the ultimate destination of yoga asana. It's achieved in meditation. Asana prepares us for meditation, but we can also achieve it in practices like yoga nidra. So yeah, I hope you're still with me. It can feel a little bit like out there, and it is profound, but it's also very practical. So I want to just explain how. So our goal in Advaita is non-dual awareness, this capacity to be completely at one with the absolute, with source. And there are ways to do this. There's always a plan, there's always a map. And in Advaita, they call it the six-fold journey to spiritual wealth. So basically, this is what we're cultivating as we're practicing to achieve the potential for non-dual awareness, non-dualism. So how do we cultivate spiritual wealth? Okay, there are 6 ways, believe it or not. The first one is self-restraint. And what you'll start to hear, hopefully, if you've been following along with the Kleshas, that a lot of these kind of teachings speak to the same outcome. Okay, so self-restraint, that means developing a sense of control over our impulses and desires. So that speaks to our Raja and Advaita, right? Our attachments and our attachments to pleasures and our aversions to pain or discomfort. Again, this doesn't mean suppressing our impulses and desires, but it does it does involve channeling them, looking at them and using them constructively, rather than them having some kind of hold over our choices. Second one is patience. So that's about embracing the journey, not on your time, on the universe's time, which can be a kicker. And for me, it speaks to the ego, because the ego wants things yesterday. And your practice will be constantly reminding you that you're not in charge, and patience is a virtue. So as soon as we can start to embrace patience, embrace the natural rhythms and cycles, let go of control, and just understanding that higher intelligence is at work, and if you're aligning with that intelligence, it will take you directly to where you want to go at exactly the right time. It's not easy, and I never said any of this was easy, but let's start to think about how can we bring more patience into our world. Third one is mental clarity. I don't think it really needs to be said too much about the need for a clear mind. Most of you are aware of that. That's how we start to discern. That's how we decide to make those choices, when our mind is clear and not when it's full of unhelpful thinking and all that meandering noise. Fourth is non-attachment to pleasure. Again, I said that this does really sound like some of the teachings of the Kleshas. Finding joy in experiences without clinging, without grasping to them, and starting to get on board with the idea that true happiness comes from within. And I totally get it. We can, get super happy by, honoring our desires for pleasure. But yeah, the tradition is inviting us to not be attached and get more curious about the happiness that comes from within, and the pleasure that comes from within. Number 5 is lack of conflict. So this could be external and internal conflict. For some of us, we're just we have this internal kind of war going on, which is destructive and traumatic and harmful. So what the tradition, or what Advaita is speaking to, is learning how to deal with inner conflict and start to move through those conflicts, and helpful thoughts. And finally, number 6 is having a burning desire for liberation. So that is speaking to how badly do you want it? Have you got this deep passion to achieve spiritual freedom, to achieve self-realization? And if it's not quite there yet, that's okay. Even if the fact that you're here suggests that there's a desire, right? There's something within you calling you to explore something else, right? So let's just keep watering and nourishing that passion, that desire. Let's grow it into a passion. Let's grow it into an unbreakable will that's going to essentially take us towards where we want to go. Okay, still with me? Okay, so I promised to kind of explain a little bit. I mean, I think that does, to some degree, show the practical side of these teachings, because who doesn't want less conflict? Who doesn't want to be more patient? Who doesn't want to be not so kind of pushed and pulled by pleasures and things that we seek happiness from, but we never get that lasting, enduring experience. So it's already showing its worth, but I just wanted to kind of bring it down into something that was more practical in terms of how it's helping us to live a more fully meaningful and harmonious life. Okay, so first of all, in our relationships, so when we can start to recognize the inherent unity in all things, that's going to really have a massive effect on how we deal with situations, how we deal with people we like, people we don't like, people in our lives who we love, people who we work with. We can start to maybe approach conflicts or misunderstandings in a more harmonious way, with a little bit more empathy, a little bit more understanding, and start to see beyond all these surface level differences. Fundamentally, with non-dual awareness, we're all the same stuff, okay? And again, this is when it gets weird, but let's just try to emphasize. How does it spill into like our financial world? Well, the tradition will teach us that financial wealth is transient, it can come and go, and we'll start to move us more in the direction of looking for inner wealth through those virtues like self-restraint and patience and mental clarity. Personal growth, when you're dealing with things from a clearer and more grounded mindset, when you're able to be more patient, when you can seek harmony in situations rather than looking for conflict, then you start to find yourself, changing, transforming, or growing on a personal level. With this kind of goal of starting to balance both your personal or worldly responsibilities with your spiritual responsibilities. Then we kind of start to achieve that personal growth. Physical health. So again, as we use this vessel to move us through the various kind of levels of awareness, we start to understand that we need to embrace our bodies as these unique and amazing pieces of human technology that deserve to be nourished and to be fed well and to be exercised. So what we can do there is practice non-attachment and work to get the body strong and capable and robust, but not obsess over it, okay? I think there's a big obsession right now with the physical form above everything else. Like, great, you look amazing externally, but what's going on internally? And how are you actually using that? What is the ultimate goal? How are you using that, that strong body that looks great on the surface level for the higher good? That's the question I would ask myself if I was that way. Okay, yes. So again, knowing that true wealth comes from within, we need to keep this body healthy, but at the same time, if that's all we're obsessed about, then we need to start to question that side of our practice. Career, if we're approaching our careers, again, not so much from that sense of restriction and what serves us, and let's instead start to see our careers and our jobs as service, because ultimately what we do affects the whole. And then when we can start to come from that space, then our jobs have way more meaning. Okay, every single person on this planet is contributing to something. Everything is correlating and making something else possible. You only have to think of just all the different things that have to come together, from things like just bringing a meal to your table. Like, if you think of all the people and all the jobs that had to go into that, never mind something like, going on holiday, and being able to fly around the world and visit places. Everything is so intrinsically linked, and we just don't see or have the potential mind capacity to see all the correlations and things that are going on. But that doesn't mean they're not going on. I told you this got weird. So strive for excellence in your job in terms of how you are showing up and serving, and how that affects the whole. And that's when true alignment will come for you through your work. And then emotional health. So we're human, we have a gamut of feelings. Some of them come up when we least expect them or want them. This is not about suppressing feelings. This is not about denying our feelings. This is about not letting our feelings overwhelm us, overtake us, and lead us down paths that are not healthy or aligned to our own individual purpose. So things like fostering patience, fostering mental clarity, will also bring about this potential to find emotional health. So I hope you can see that, like, yoga as a practice with all these teachings is such a supportive mechanism for so many facets of our life. And we don't have to kind of learn them all in a day and run them off like a script, but go to a class where you're being reminded, you're remembering, and you're kind of revisiting these teachings as a way to keep you on track, because God knows it's difficult to stay on track when we have so much coming at us every day. Okay, so it's important that you find the right environment. It's important that you find the right teacher. It's important that then you have the teachings that are going to help support you in that growth. And then I think it's really important to be clear that this is something that is daily. It's a practice. It's a sadhana. It's not something that you do and then you put in your pocket and it's done. This is like, if you are a practicing yogi, this is part of the deal. So yeah, just maybe it's time to reflect on that. Okay, so a little recap. Remember that the goal is to rest more and more in that part of you that is non-dual, that is not governed by opposite, that's not fixed in the world of mind, matter, and energy. It's not to stay there and hang out there, but it's to use that as a way to live your life in a way that is more conscious, that is more connected and more interrelated. And that's where you'll get that ability for true fulfillment and meaning in your life. Through our moon, sun, and fire practices, we are always cultivating that spiritual wealth that is going to lead us to that state. And I'd love you to embrace these teachings with an open heart and an open mind, and start to witness that transformation in your life that is possible. It's not beyond you, and yeah, the rewards, as you can see, are many. So thank you for staying with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me go into the weird. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.